My name is Ilda. I am a partner in the immigration department at Kingsley Napley. I'm delighted to say that I have two colleagues with me here today. Áine Hartigan from Eugene Collins, a law firm in Dublin and an expert in Irish immigration law, coupled with my colleague Iain Miller, who is a partner in our regulatory department. Today we'll be just talking to you about the issue of the fact that as from the 1st of January, the UK will now officially, the transition period will have ended, and what that now means for British law firms who have lawyers that are British nationals wanting to travel into Europe to visit their clients, either to give advice or not, on a fly-in, fly-out basis. So with that in mind, I will turn to my colleague Iain, who will talk about the issues that British law firms should be aware of when flying into Dublin on this occasion or anywhere in the Republic of Ireland, what they need to think about from a regulatory perspective.
Thank you, Ilda. Assuming there is no trade deal covering legal services at the end of the Brexit transition period, then English solicitors will no longer be able to take advantage of the European directives that allow the free movement of legal professions within the EU. In the case of Ireland, there's no foreign legal consultant status and no direct provision for fly-in, fly-out in respect of foreign lawyers. Nonetheless, the Irish regime is a quite liberal regime, and in fact is very similar to the UK regime in that only certain activities such as litigation and conveyancing are actually regulated. What that means is therefore it will be possible to continue to provide advice in relation to UK domestic law in Ireland without any regulatory issues. And indeed UK lawyers can continue to represent their clients in mediation, arbitrations, conciliations in Ireland. In addition, correspondence with third country lawyers, as the UK would then be, is covered by legal professional privilege in Ireland.
Thank you, Iain. In terms of the next questions are all Irish immigration related questions. I turn to my colleague Áine. Áine, do you have any top tips for British law firms that need to send their lawyers, British citizens, into the Republic of Ireland after the transition period ends?
So Ilda, thank you very much for having me today. So the first thing I would flag is that it's largely extremely good news for UK nationals who want to travel to Ireland for any purpose, and in this case for fly-in, fly-out lawyers. The first thing that I would flag, though, is that, as we all know, COVID has thrown up a lot of new challenges for all arrivals in Ireland. So, as you may be aware, the EU recommended a traffic light system, and that was adopted in Ireland in October. And what this means is that passengers entering Ireland from what's classed as a red, orange or grey region are requested to restrict their movements for 14 days. Now, at the moment, the UK is considered a red region. That may change, but it appears that even after the transition period ends, that the ECDC will continue to classify, to give the UK a classification. And that may change, but at the moment that would require that people arriving would have to restrict their movements for 14 days. Unless they can provide a COVID test 5 days after arrival. So that's just something to keep in mind. That's obviously having a huge impact in business travel at the moment. But as we all know, there's probably not a huge amount of business traveling happening over the coming weeks. But as we move forward, the good news is that the existence of the Common Travel Area provides huge flexibility for UK law firms who want to send their UK citizen lawyers to Ireland after the transition period ends. So the Common Travel Area, for people who might be unfamiliar with it, is an arrangement between the UK and Ireland that gives a huge variety of rights to the citizens of both countries. And that includes access to employment, healthcare, education, social benefits. And for our purposes, it includes the right to travel freely between both countries. So while Brexit is likely to have a huge impact on the movement of UK citizens across Europe, the Common Travel Area preserves a long-standing arrangement that actually predates the European Union. And this arrangement began in 1922, and over time, some of these rights have been included in Irish and UK legislation. And the good news for our purposes is that the Common Travel Area isn't dependent on the European Union or the membership of either country in the European Union. So further good news, in May 2018, the Irish and the UK governments signed a memorandum of understanding, reaffirming the arrangement and the reciprocal rights and privileges enjoyed by UK and Irish nationals in each country. And the memorandum reaffirmed the commitment to maintain the Common Travel Area following Brexit. So a key element of this is that neither Irish citizens in the UK nor British citizens in Ireland are required to take any action to protect their status and rights associated with the Common Travel Area. So that's the real takeaway here, that a UK citizen or a UK lawyer in these circumstances doesn't need to take any action to guarantee the right to travel to Ireland. They don't need to apply for a permit, they don't need to apply for an entry visa, and this should ensure really seamless, flexible travel for fly-in, fly-out lawyers, irrespective of the outcome of Brexit.
Thank you, Áine. That's very good news, because we've been discussing this issue with colleagues in other European countries, and their issues are, because they're part of the Schengen Agreement, there are restrictions about what you can and can't do in each particular country. Equally, the issue of actually having to spend, a certain number of days within a country, within the Schengen area, is something that's quite prevalent. So that's really, really good news. So just in terms of what the maximum time one can then spend in Dublin, as an example, effectively, if I've understood you right, are you saying that basically you'd be free to remain in Dublin, as an example, for as long as you like and do what effectively one likes?
Yes, that's exactly correct, and obviously that's subject to local regulatory and, say, revenue requirements. But from an immigration perspective, a UK citizen can remain in Ireland for as long as they wish.
Thank you very much, Áine. I think that's really good news, and I'm very sure that it will be reassuring to British citizens who are listening to this podcast, likewise law firms who will be sending out British lawyers into the Common Travel Area. We've now come to the end of this podcast recording. Thank you very much for listening. We will continue on this series with a few of other colleagues in Europe, so we look forward to seeing you again.